Hello, you beautiful nerds. When this show was announced, I was not interested at all. Mainly because Netflix has made some stunningly bad adaptations. Like seriously, I damn near had a whole review made for Cowboy Bebop, and then I was like, I don't think I can finish the show. Fuck that review. My ranking, I hate it. Then I watched the trailer for this new show, something I never do, and after that pool scene, I was like, oh yeah, the Addams Family are awesome. I forgot how much I love those movies, and this felt like it was gonna have the same vibe with some Riverdale-esque teen drama spookiness sprinkled in there. But unfortunately, it was kinda the other way around. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what we're talking about. So get ready to get creepy, kooky, and altogether ooky.
I prefer spooky.
Cause we're about to have a little chat about... But first, a prelude. In the year of our Lord, 1991, Columbia Pictures put out a little comedy called This movie was pretty huge. It collected over $190 million at the box office on a meager $30 million budget. Spawned a campy rap theme song comparable to Ghostbusters, and it was a breakout performance for legendary character actress Christina Ricci.
Sit in the chair. Why? So we can play a game. It's called... Is There a God?
Once the sequel, Addams Family Values, came out, the character of Wednesday had become a cultural icon. Even in 2021, an animated Addams Family movie came out that I was sure no one saw, and that shit still made like $200 million domestically. Which proves that there is one absolute truth in life. People fucks with the Addams Family. The new Netflix series seeks to capitalize on that nostalgia and iconography by creating a series that is primarily focused on everyone's favorite brooding child. And when they announced the show, it seemed like they were committed to evoking the style and feel of the 90s films. They even brought back director Tim Burton? What? I started racking my brain like, is this one of those situations like when Harry Selick directed Nightmare Before Christmas but everyone thinks that Tim Burton did? But in reverse. But no, my memory was correct. Though it feels kind of Tim Burton, he didn't direct, write, or produce the Addams Family movies. The 90s Addams movies were directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. You know, the guy who did Men in Black, whose name weirdly sounds like Jerry Seinfeld. Not to say that Burton has no right to make this series. In fact, he's kind of a good choice. Or at least pre-Alice in Wonderland Burton would have been a good choice. I love a lot of Tim Burton movies. One of his movies even made it on my top adult Christmas movies list. But I haven't loved any of his movies since Mars Attacks. And yes, I love Mars Attacks. That movie rules. The show follows the eldest Addams child, Wednesday, after she's been kicked out of school for attempted murder? So now she has to go to her mother Morticia's alma mater, Spooky School. I forget the name and I'm not looking it up. It's called Spooky School. Though you would think Wednesday would fit right into a boarding school full of things that go bump in the night. And for the most part, she does like the school. But she proves that even in a school full of stranger things, she can still stand out. Oh yeah, there's a murder mystery at the school. There are actually a few mysteries in this season. One might say, too many? The murder mystery itself is actually pretty good, despite it not making much sense for this universe. We'll get more to that later. There are times when the show decides to bring the plot to a grinding halt, though. The mystery of whether Morticia or Gomez murdered someone back in the day was so boring. Not just because it slowed the progress of the story that's actually interesting, but then they go to insane lengths to show that the Addams were acting in self-defense when it's like, we are talking about the Addams Family, right? These are the guys who torture each other and eat little mush goblins for breakfast and seem to relish in everything morbid. These guys... Murder should not be a big deal to these guys. Wednesday even says in this show that one of her uncles ate a bunch of Girl Scouts. I remember because they wasted a perfectly good opportunity to make an eating Girl Scouts versus eating Girl Scout cookies joke. Hell, I would have settled for ate a brownie once joke.
I ate a brownie once.
The 90s movies exist in this hyper-realistic, almost cartoonish world where they can do shit like blow people up or electrocute them or put them in a guillotine and then they would be like perfectly fine the next scene. The morbidity of the Addams comedy works best when there's no threat of any of these people being killed. If people can actually get brutally murdered, that makes me really concerned for this family. Pugsley specifically. Like, this isn't cute anymore. Somebody needs to save that kid. Also, the whole business with the sheriff is pretty whack. He is the worst cop in the world and the worst character on the show. Not only because he gets routinely owned by the 16-year-old child, but also because he refuses to pay attention to anything that's clearly important. The murder case, his son. Like, your son is action-packed with issues. And the show, much like the emo sheriff, doesn't seem very interested in the stuff that's actually interesting. The string of kids getting murdered and the secret racist colonizer and the little ghost girl who wants revenge, all that stuff is way more interesting than the dumb wolf girl with the lame claws and her relationship with Mandusa over here. Wednesday's romantic triangle was also a waste of time. Not that she should be totally asexual. In the movies, we see that she does have an interest in romantic connection, but in what world do two guys think that Wednesday, of all people, is sending signals? The thirst is real, y'all. And I can't express how much I hate Meg Griffin. I'm not looking up her real name or her character name. She's Meg Griffin. God, you know what? I take no pleasure in dunking on kid actors, but this girl is terrible. I get it, not every child actor is Angourie Rice, but this kid has serious Disney Channel energy and it bugs the ever-living out of me. Ugh, I hate it. In fact, there are a lot of bad actors on this show, even the good ones. I can probably count on one hand how many actors I liked. Actually, hold on. Jenna Ortega, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Joy Sunday, Percy Hines-White, and damn, I really thought I was gonna make it a 5. Gwendolyn Christie is just there. I love her as an actress, but not in this. It's more a problem with her character, who is lame, but there's nothing about her performance that grabs me. And Luis Guzman is horribly miscast. Raul Julia was sensational as Gomez Addams. Hands down, one of the best comedic performances in movie history. And Luis Guzman has no charisma, no energy, no pizzazz. Don't get me wrong, I like Luis Guzman. He's had some great comedic performances and great dramatic performances. But I have a feeling that dude didn't read for this and they just hired the first Latino comedic actor who picked up the phone. He delivers all of his lines in the exact same way. Even if he was as good as he was in like Waiting, he still wouldn't be the right guy for this role. Like, was Antonio Banderas busy? I can't imagine he said no. Dude was in Spy Kids 3D. You don't think he'd show up for this? This is what, like an 8-day shoot for Guzman? 2 weeks tops? I will say that Jenna Ortega is wonderful in the role. I'm glad I saw her in the new Scream so I could see how truly good she is, because this is very different from a Final Girl performance. Ortega shows her range and doesn't really play it the same as Ricci, but she kinda had to switch it up. Ricci's performance is good in small doses as the cantankerous, witty side character, but with the whole story revolving around her, it's good that she added notes of humanity and vulnerability. And she delivers these lines so well.
I see you finally made a friend, even if it is a plant.
I go for quality over quantity.
This is the most girls I've ever had in the shed, other than bees.
Shocking.
She really understood the character and how to tap into that bone-dry humor that we all love about Wednesday. And to those of you who are mad that it's a Latina actress playing Wednesday, first off, you guys are dumb. Second, her dad's name is Gomez. End of argument. There were a couple of things that I bumped up against at first, like her psychic powers, but I mean, the character was 12 last time we saw her. She's in a weird family that sent her to a supernatural high school. She's got powers now, I'm not totally offended by it. I mean, it's very obviously just a plot device for the murder storyline, but you know, whatever gets you there. It's whatever, it's fine. I also get that she would probably be great at fencing and shit. It's kind of like a nice callback to this scene in the first movie. But some of these fight scenes are extra. Like, why are we doing all of this? This is not what the show needs. I did like that the themes of the series leaned heavy on anti-colonialism. Again, this is very much on brand for Wednesday. She's what assholes today would call an SJW. She likes cruelty, but in a fun way. It also didn't feel super preachy in that sense. Sometimes people like to hit you over the head with a woke narrative, but this was a natural addition to the plotline. And considering the setting, it makes sense that this shit would come up a lot. This town is obsessed with pilgrims. On the whole, this show was not great. At least not as great as it could have been. A lot of people seem to like it, and I get that. It's very much like Sabrina and Riverdale and other quasi-supernatural teen dramas, but I think I've just kind of had my fill of this genre. Not that I ever particularly liked it, but now it feels like those Dr. Pepper commercials that kind of dunk on these shows.
What's wrong about you, bro? It's okay. I think I was projecting my insecurities on your soda.
Derek, you're oversharing.
Like, if Dr. Pepper is making fun of you, it might be time to switch it up. I know it's unfair to make that comparison, but parody does that. Scream and Scary Movie changed Scary Movies, and Austin Powers changed Bond. So maybe it's time to change the spooky teen serial format, because it's hard to watch a full episode of a series like this without rolling my eyes at least once. per episode. It's not a dumpster fire, but considering Wednesday is a character that always goes against the grain, it's disappointing that the first season of her own show seems to walk the same path as the mediocre shows that came before. My ranking, I didn't hate it. That's it for this review, but don't forget to check out the Drunk Banthas podcast where we're going to be talking about Avatar 2. But until then, stay safe, my little spooky school students, and may the force be with you.